A bad boy is in trouble again. Fat Joe bought a pair of Trump sneakers. And Joey Budden is having Candace Owens on his podcast. Is hip hop dead? Alright, you white motherfuckers, all eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I was this close, again, to making it to the weekend, minding my African-American business. But you ragamuffins, scallywags, won't let me be. So, we're back. I'm back up here for the second consecutive day. I didn't know if I was going to do this, but I got to. So, first things first, since I've got a series on the YouTube channel at this point that we've called Surviving Diddy, it's safe to say that I'm kind of locked in at this point. I'm just fascinated by this whole thing. For previous episodes covering, Surviving Diddy, it's on my channel. I will always say it's alleged because I want to keep my channel. I want to keep my content. I don't want to put anything out there that's not proven or anything. I just want to talk about some things, right? So, earlier this week, another lawsuit they say has been filed by a person that used to work with Diddy during his Love album. Lil Rod, who claims to be a producer and a videographer and all this other stuff, is claiming a lot of things have occurred from 2022 to 2023. And the lawsuit is alleging SH, and some reports of these parties allegedly had underage girls, and at these parties were allegedly drinks being served laced with drugs of some kind. What's interesting about this whole thing, there's a couple of things interesting, is who else is catching strays within the realms of this lawsuit. This guy, Lil Rod, is throwing strays at Stevie J, the CEO of Combs' CEO, his chief of staff, his son, and UMG CEO. And I believe also even Cuba Gooding allegedly is catching strays in this. So these other people that I just listed, Lil Rod is claiming they were at the parties or they played a role in procuring underage girls and even getting Lil Rod to procure and entertain sex workers. All of this is alleged, right? So I was like, God damn. So I'm a firm believer that two things can be true. That, yes, it is very well possible that human beings can be freaky. And it could also be very well possible that once certain human beings get to a particular tax bracket, that they've entered a realm of being rich and bored. They they've had the women, they've had access to women, they've been into women most of their lives. Now they want to try something else. And I'm not tripping off of rich men being with other men and trying things. Like, the straight guys and straight people are throwing themselves out the window over this. Like I said in a previous episode, straight guys are more disgusted at the thought of this guy being with other guys than they are with the allegations and the possibility that this guy is also forcing himself on women, allegedly, and possibly forcing these women to do things that they don't want to do. Mr. Fox here at the RFE's podcast, that's where we are. People, hood dudes, that hang out in the corner, or dudes that are in the trap or whatever, will use kind of these opportunities to get up in front of their iPhones or get up on these podcasts and use the time to voice their homophobia under the guise of religion, under the guise of we need to protect Christian images, under the guise of, oh, you're just attacking another black billionaire. There aren't that many of us. Look what they're doing, trying to bring down another black man. And at this point, I'm exhausted. The other interesting thing is that, again, very, very much a firm believer of two things can be true. One, that, like I said, that this, it's possible for people to be freaky. But also, it's very possible for the legal people that can look at some of this stuff and say, oh, well, this is a cash grab. Here is the twist that is in this whole equation. So one of the things about this that hit the Bird app that I'm a part of is that Lil Rod allegedly claims that this bad boy showed him videos of a producer having sex with another man. And he had screenshots to prove it. Come to find out, these screenshots are not of the producer with this Caucasian man. It's actually the porn star Knockout with the white man. So a person arguing against this case, if it gets to that point, could use that as the ignition or the straw to discredit everything else in this lawsuit. Like, I will never put it past a lawyer or anybody or the state to just argue against it. Because the other thing about it is, you worked with this man for a year In addition to all this other stuff that you're claiming, you also claim that he didn't pay you for your work. One could argue, why did you keep going to work unpaid? And you won $30 million. And this is on the tails of the Cassie suit, which I will never argue against Cassie and what was outlined in those documents, because very detailed, very detailed, very specific time, place, what age she was, where they went to, everything, and they were together for at least 15 years. So you got that, you got those kind of things working against it, and you're also going against somebody that is well protected. Probably has the best lawyers, the best defense team. So, at the very most, this will come and this will go, and Diddy will pay it off. And of course, Diddy is going to say the same thing that he's been saying, and his lawyer's already talking for him. But there's like a discussion that needs to be had. For the longest time, you've heard, as well as I've heard for many years, that if this bad boy invites you to the party, don't go. And if you are a grown-ass man and he invites you to go shopping, why the fuck would I need to go shopping with you? Just very sus, and when I say sus, like, you're presenting one opportunity with the guy under the guise of the intention of doing some other stuff along the way. And then on top of that, on the timeline, there was somehow or another the girlfriend, his current girlfriend, who I guess is putting out some solo music now, is catching a stray as well. And y'all were like, I will never trust somebody that doesn't drink water. I'm like, I totally get it. But but we got to have this discussion though, right? About what kind of parties are you having, and why is your son there? Now, if you remember, if you go back to probably about 4 or 5 videos ago, I was talking about how this particular bad boy played a very instrumental role in being the, I guess, guardian or responsible for a very young artist at the time who recently did the halftime show at the Super Bowl. And how at some point, I think between the second and third album, it came out that this particular artist had lost his virginity well before he was of legal age to a person that was in the house, I guess, to take care of him. And you know me, I leaned back and did the math. I was like, that that would be right around the time that you were with this dude. And that's not to say like, no, fuck it. Not to say that like he possibly was grooming him, but definitely played a role in having him experience stuff that violates some child laws. So when this guy, this little ride producer guy, had also mentioned the G word, I was like, that tends to be a theme. It tends to be a word that has been popping up associated with this guy for years. And not directly, but being a mastermind behind situations where pre-teenage boys are in the same room with grown women, and he may or may not be a witness to it, but definitely like some things happening, right? So I'm like, ooh. But when you use the G word and you're the adult plaintiff, you've got to do some heavy lifting with evidence to prove that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're probably going to want you to drop names. They're probably going to want you to give some very detailed specifics, like that supports that claim. And then, that would involve other families. They'd have to like reach out to these people and see if they would like come in for a statement. Like the whole shebang bang. And if I know people, like I know people, especially during the pandemic, they're going to want to cut it at 30 million. Like there's a lot you have to really consider when you broaden the complaint. When you broaden the complaint to involve not only people by name, but mention aspects that mirror like an Epstein level type of thing, they're going to, the authorities are going to want to like get statements from these people. And now that your name is attached to it, you're going to catch a lot of fire and a lot of heat. It sucks because, there is an air of truth to some of this stuff because this is similar stuff that's been detailed in other suits. And then, the word around the industry, of course. And then you got to think about it. If you were like part of the Hitman back in the day, if you were an artist on the label back in the day, if you were at the party shaking the bottles and shit with this dude, you'd probably feel guilty. And everybody likes to go back in history and talk to people they've seen in the photos and stuff and be like, so what you see, it's like when you're like a father of girls, when you have daughters and stuff, and you have this stuff come out about somebody you used to work for back in the day, it would make you sick to your stomach. And it would make you angry. It'll make you like be like, what the actual fuck? What kind of monster did I work for? And I thought about that when I was listening to um, Ed Lover's Come On Some podcast when he had D. Angeletti on a couple months ago. And this was fresh when, everybody was talking about Cassie's lawsuit. And I was just like, I know that man as a father of daughters. Going off into a little bit of a tangent. But it the dawn on this bad boy is still rolling. It's still rolling, and it's too many similarities to avoid. And this is way more dangerous than him possibly stealing from artists or him having these janky contracts with his artists and allegedly stealing from them and all this other stuff. This is some dark shit. Some dark shit. Some very, very dark shit. I'm surprised there isn't like a federal investigation as far as children and trafficking of children and safety and all this other stuff. Because there's nothing that says that he couldn't also allegedly be grooming, or for the longest time have been grooming his sons up and through adulthood. Now, I don't know if he was doing that with I'll think about it, son. But I wouldn't put it past him if he was doing that with the one he had with the stylist, and the one he had with the on again, off again girlfriend that passed away mysteriously from, they say, cardiac arrest and pneumonia. I don't know. You want to talk about an unsolved mystery season? There you have it. But you know what I mean? Like it's a lot to ponder and discuss. And I'm still kind of in shock. So I don't know what this little ride thing, if that'll actually make it to something. I mean, 30 million is a lot to be asking for. Uh, will he get it? I doubt it. Um, and will they possibly be like, we got to start putting some more provisions or caps on, suits and stuff like that? Because this is getting out of hand. I'm just talking to you like it's you and me. This is kind of getting out of hand for us. These are a lot of suits coming out back to back to back. I don't know. I don't know. So moving on. Moving on. Joe Cartagena. Not that I was like a huge fan of that rapper. He has a couple of songs I fuck with. It's probably like a good 3 or 4 songs that I fuck with. But I feel like there's something, I think like things took a turn the moment he started to wear that manicured beard and was on IG Live a lot and was just looking very, very glossy. But here we are about to close out Black History Month 2024. And of the 400,000 sneakers that were sold, of the Trump sneaker, Fat Joe decided to bless us with yet another IG Live appearance, to tell us that he purchased those Trump sneakers. And then, while showing off these pedestrian atrocities, goes on to let us know, I'm not voting for 45. I'm not voting for 45. I'm just a huge sneakerhead. Fat Joe, I need you to read the room. You don't have to vote for him to support him. And where do you think all that money's going to? To support him. And the sneakers are ugly as fuck. Ugly as fuck. And as much money as you make or have made in your lifetime, you could have made your own sneaker or gone into a brief partnership with somebody to make a line of sneakers. Now you're throwing yourself out the window with the other followers of his, letting everybody know that they paid at least 2 G's for these shoes. That probably cost like 15 cents to produce. All the money going to support this man. You know, when you do that, the vote is the lesser of the two. Money is going to support this man and his run to go try to get back into the White House. And it gives a lot of us the impression that you are a Trump star. And we start thinking, oh, well, shit, this is a shame. Like, why would you go out, throw yourself out the window over this man who clearly does not see it for people that look like me or you? And you were part of like that go out and vote campaign, and then you turn around and do shit like this, and you're like, oh, I'm just a big sneakerhead. There are thousands and millions of other sneakers you could have bought. And then on top of that, you could have bought that wasn't tied to a man that, aside from the fact that he wasn't qualified for the job, all the stuff that happened while he was on the throne And of all the things you could have evolved from or evolved to the last 5, 6 years, this is where you're at. You know, there's a whole discussion that's happening right now about rappers and hip hop people and hip hop execs revealing themselves to be Trump stars. And it's not looking good. I mean, those of us that have been outside for a long time realize that there's something that happens when people reach a particular tax bracket. And it's a glaring ignorance or naivete that a person that is the money man and Mr. Gab and is more a talker than a walker. Despite the history of financial failure, these rap stars and these executives that look like me have no qualms about going to see this man, being in a room with this man, and somehow be convinced that he's the new wave of America. And I'm just like, no, this is just another checkbox for him. And he, just like many other folks over there, don't care about what you have to say. And you, with limited range and no wherewithal, believing he's going to do what's best for your interests. The rest of us out here, like, you are up there shucking and jiving with this man. And here comes Fat Joe during the last week of Black History Month to show off his Trump sneakers. And I'm just like, oh boy. Not you, Fat Joe. Not you. Not you. Not you. So, before I get up out of here, I got a few more things. Was on the Bird app this morning, and you will never catch me saying that I'm locked into a particular podcast that long or consistently. And JBP is not one that I'm locked in that long anyway. Episodes are too damn long. There's something that just never sits right with me about a bunch of men sitting around just talking and arguing and gossiping about some shit. It's just giving bitch assness to me. So there I was on the Bird app this morning and saw that Joey Budden, dressed in his Sherlock Holmes fit, taking looks like a promotional picture with Candace Owens. I call it split ends over here. So it looks like she'll be on the podcast in the future. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. We were just talking about split ends a couple episodes ago. How she was calling District Attorney Fani Willis ghetto superstar. And you will never catch me saying I stand split ends. Very smart and intelligent lady. However, she is still essentially a token for conservatives. And it's just never a good look to. She's always going against other black people. And I know I've said on the podcast before that white supremacy is also black people caping for white people, especially against other black people. So she's going to be on there, I think. This is very much an odd pairing because his podcast is not well versed in politics. He's not like the second coming of a Byron Allen or a Brian Gumbel or even a Barbara Walters. What could possibly be productive about this? Hip hop is dead. Hip hop is dead. So is he going to be wearing this fit the entire episode? Like, I'm already locked in unseriously because of what he had on in the picture. Like, you don't have to dress like the Quaker Oatmeal Man. You don't have to dress like Ben Vereen and Roots. You don't have to dress like the train conductor from an Alex Haley production. Like, what? You don't have to cosplay as you know what? Let me stop. What are we doing? The last week of Black History Month, and this is where we are. This is where we are. But there is some bright light in all this. After 20 plus years of being an open case, they have finally convicted two men for the killing of Jam Master Jay. So the two people that they convicted are two people very close to Jam Master Jay. So it turns out that it's his godson and an old friend who was bunking at the home of Jam Master Jay's sister at the time that were convicted for the shooting that happened on October 30th of 2002. In 2002. And of course, there were supporters at the trial or the session when the verdict was handed down. Y'all just killed two innocent people. Let me tell you something. As somebody that has been selected for jury duty, sat through the entire process only to not be selected, even sitting in the main courtroom, you know, where the person that is set to be put on trial in handcuffs with his legal team is standing in front of the judge, and then, you know, the city or the state that's going to be the prosecutors are standing next to him, even has supporters of his in the court, or, you know, the room over here, and I'm sitting there in the back like, why are we even here? Like, we're all hearing the details, and I'm like, why are we even here? Clearly, the feds or the powers that be have been investigating this thing the entire time. They're not going to just come out the door and just randomly select two people without like a thorough investigation first. Like, for it to get to this point, there has to be some credibility and some truth to it. And a family member can lie straight to your face that they didn't do anything or didn't have a role in it. But here we are. And I'm so glad. Like, I'm so glad that we are in this season of arresting, charging, and convicting people for the deaths of rappers. And before I get out of here, this will probably be the last episode for Black History Month 2024. I'm going to repeat a tradition that I've been doing on the podcast on the other side this month. White people shit. If you have filed for disability, filed a disability claim, been approved, got like 6 figures, you must remember that you must remain disabled. Stay in the house. Don't do any heavy lifting. What you might not want to do is have an active filing or a winning judgment or whatever it may be, to decide this is the day that I'm going to go to a tree throwing competition. Not only go, but participate. Participate. And they got photos of this lady throwing what looks to be a huge evergreen or spruce tree or Christmas tree, and while wearing a yellow jacket. And it's like, it's a very dynamic photo. So using that as evidence, they were able to revoke her $800,000 disability claim. Bitch, for $800,000, you could relocate. She probably stayed in the area so she can keep going to these tree throwing competitions. Don't ask me why they have those. And her ass got caught up. Now you have no money. You're legally allowed to work. But at least you have this tree throwing competition you can go to every year. White people shit. White people shit. Anyway, this is Mr. Foxy RFU's podcast. It's been real. Like I said, hip-hop is dead. It's in the toilet right now. You have these young artists that are mumbling on beats still, and you have the old heads revealing themselves to be Trump stars. I may put Andre 3000's flute album on tonight to cleanse my spirit as we go into March. How y'all been liking that? Y'all been feeling that? Because I love it. But in the meantime, check out the rest of the RFU's podcast here on the YouTube channel. Also, wherever you get your Apple and your Spotify and all your podcasts. We're on 8 streaming platforms. We have a Twitter at RFU's podcast. Follow, subscribe, show love. The Usual Suspects is out. The RFU's podcast After Dark is out. And we will catch you guys later. Live life and don't fuck up. Peace. Fendi, like the bag. This is the RFU.